the case, Mr. Williams' background. I think the court has not just heard it from Mr. Steele, but has had the opportunity to sit here and hear some of the evidence and kind of get a feel. You've had a chance also to observe Mr. Williams and then get a feel for him, his background, and so forth. The only thing I can say about Mr. Williams that hasn't been said is that he comes from an area. You might have heard throughout the course of the trial that there was an album, a concert tour. We came from nothing. And that is true. Mr. Williams came from, I hate to use the word abject poverty, but that really is the case. Came from an area where there was a significant amount of crime, where, as you've heard, he's had tragedy in his life and has observed tragedy in his life. And he has gone through a good bit.
Underlying factual basis, I would point out for the court that when Mr. Nichols filled out his form, it says 29 plus. He is a birthday boy in a couple of days and he will be 30. And at 30 years of age, he has a wife. He has got a 13-year-old daughter. He's got a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. His wife and sister, I believe, are here in the courtroom to support him. He, Mr. Nichols, was born and raised in Atlanta. And, we're at this point before I have even given my opening statement in this case.
Yes, sir.
I do want the court to know that Mr. Nichols' mother died in prison. His father was shot by the Atlanta police when he was 4 years old. And he was raised by friends and family in the Atlanta area. So he has come to this point in his life from a very humble beginning.
Wow.
And he has sought the support of friends in this courtroom and others in this courtroom.
Your Honor, Mr. Marquavius Huey was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He lived in the Jonesboro South community, a neighborhood project in the Atlanta community. He grew up there. He's seen a lot of things in his short 28-year life. His father was murdered in 2010, and he's been without a father for a number of years. He's been raised by his mother as a single parent. He has a number of siblings. There have been times when Mr. Huey and his mother and his family have been homeless and have lived out of a car. So he's had a very, very hard life as it relates to his upbringing. Notwithstanding that, Your Honor, he did manage to graduate from high school. Mr. Huey, Your Honor, now has 2 children. He's 28 years old. He has 2 children. He has a 5-year-old son, Your Honor. He has a 2-year-old little daughter that was born in July of 2022. He has never met or seen his daughter in person until today, as she's here in this courtroom. He recognizes that choices puts him before this court.
Jesus.
In this case.
Hello guys, I'm back again. And today I'm going to be doing this video a little bit different than how I normally do it. Unless you've been living under a rock, a lot of people in the U.S. has been tuned in to the Young Thug trial. And I see a lot of people on YouTube who have been doing commentary on the trial, but I'm going to approach it from a different perspective. My view on this situation is, what do these men have in common? How growing up in a neighborhood filled with crime, drugs, toxic families, low-income household can affect you as a child into your adulthood. Many of these children have witnessed murders, drug use, homelessness, not having food to eat, better yet, healthy food to eat. They've witnessed and experienced physical, mental, and emotional abuse throughout their growth and development. Now, Jeffrey Lamar Williams, also known as Young Thug, comes from abject poverty. Now, let me explain what abject poverty is. It's also known as extreme poverty. It's when someone is unable to meet the most basic needs for survival. For example, not being able to afford food, not having access to clean water, not having a place to sleep, not having access to medical care, not having access to proper hygiene, living in unsanitary conditions, having no hope for change. Now, he had mentioned that he has 11 siblings. So just imagine all the girls are in one room, all the boys are in another room. He barely had any clothes. He had to share his clothes with his sisters and his brothers and sometimes neighbors. He's witnessed many murders. Just death was all around him. Oftentimes, there wasn't any food in the house to eat. A lot of these men, including Jeffrey, have experienced a lot. Marquavius Huey is from a neighborhood project in Atlanta. He had a very hard childhood when it comes to his upbringing. In 2010, his father was murdered, leaving his mother to raise both him and his siblings alone. Oftentimes, they've experienced homelessness, having to live out of a car. Marquavius Nichols, who was also born in Atlanta. Unfortunately, his mother died in prison, and his father was shot and killed by the Atlanta police when he was 4 years of age, having to be raised by friends and family in the Atlanta neighborhood. It's pretty obvious this young man did not have a chance. The people that he was around were not a good influence based on where we are today at this particular time. So the common denominator amongst these men are that growing up in a crime-ridden, low-income family can significantly affect children, increasing their likelihood of engaging in criminal behavior as adults due to factors like exposure to violence, limited opportunities, stress, poor parenting practices, and a sense of hopelessness, potentially leading to a cycle of crime across generations. Essentially, the environment they are raised in can contribute to developing negative coping mechanisms and a distorted view of social norms. What these men are guilty of is being the product of their environment. Being a product of your environment can be a profound impact on your development and experiences as an adult. Not only that, when you start having children, the cycle just continues on and on from generation to generation to generation. What I see from this trial is that they have the opportunity to break the generational curse. Everything from their past has to stop now. They have to make a change and show their children and other children in the neighborhood and adults that they can do better and that they can now move forward in their life. These men are put in position to heal themselves, heal their families, and heal the neighborhood, heal the village. They are now put in a position where they can do those things. It's not too late. While you still have breath in your lungs, make that change, because the children are watching. Everybody is watching. As humans, we are watching. You're watching behavioral patterns, which affects your mental health. It also affects social relationships, how you cope. Just, as far as your resilience, showing your resilience and your personal growth. These children will now see, learn, and mimic those positive things. Let me tell you, 2024 has been the year of change. It's been a revolution. Things that people were able to get away with in the past is no longer. It stops now. Now is the time to make a positive change and move forward and be an example to the children, to the adults, to our village, to our community, to our loved ones, friends, family. Now is the time to make that change, be an example, and move forward, healing, improving your life, showing everyone that it can be done, regardless of the fact where you grew up, the type of family that you had. Now that you're an adult, and I'm talking to these men who are on the panel and anyone who's listening to my video under the sound of my voice, you are the person who can make that change. It starts with you. Look in the mirror and it starts with you. Oftentimes people say, I can't help so many people. Start with yourself. Start with yourself, and eventually it's just going to spread throughout. Make it contagious. Make it contagious to be the person to do the right thing. But it stops now. As far as the negativity and the toxicity, it stops now. Thank you so much for listening to my video. Please be sure to just go down in the comments and share how you feel about this whole Young Thug trial. I'd like for you to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can get more videos like this. And I thank you so much. Take care.